Good evening, everybody, and welcome to episode 33 of the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Alden K. Happy to be back here on another Friday to talk Arizona sports. We're going to start off this episode with the Arizona Cardinals. We'll talk about how they were ranked last in overall report card by NFLPA, and we'll talk about Michael Bidwill being ranked the 30th worst owner in the NFL. We'll talk a little bit about the upcoming free agency and who the Cardinals aim to bring back. We'll talk about the NFL Combine as well and see who the Cardinals will pick at number 16 in this year's NFL Draft. Of course, we'll talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks today with spring training still going on, and we'll talk about Corbin Carroll having an amazing start to spring training so far. And we will talk about the Phoenix Suns. They've been a very big dumpster fire, still a very big disappointment. They have lost 10 of their last 12 games. Maybe time to hit a rebuild. We'll talk about it a little bit more. We'll talk about Mike Budenholzer telling Devin Booker to not be a vocal leader on the Phoenix Suns. Really kind of creates a lot of questioning about our current head coach. And we will close off this episode with ASU and U of A basketball and baseball here on the AZ Sports Zone on the iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will go into a quick sponsor break, hear a word from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll jump right into the Cardinals. Do not go anywhere. Once again, you're listening to the AZ Sports Zone on the iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Be back shortly.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clinking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. IE Sports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax_stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, big shout out to Planet Jerky, premium brisket beef jerky, Vital Apparel. Make sure to use the IESR code to get 15% off of any clothing. Seal the Deal wax seals. Make sure to make those orders. And of course, shout out to the IE Sports Radio. Make sure to follow us on all of our socials and check out our website. Happy to be back here on another Friday. Also, big shout out to our newest sponsor, Raw Nutrition Supplements. Use the promo code IESR for 10% off here on Raw Nutrition Supplements. Take advantage of the discounts that you guys can get your hands on. Times are still tough, like always. So make sure to get as many discounts as you can. And of course, make sure to follow me on both the X accounts that I run with the IE Sports Radio at AZ Sports Zone IE, where I will retweet a bunch of Arizona sports news, give my thoughts and opinions on it. And of course, my personal account at the AZTRL, where I am the most unfiltered Arizona sports fan you will ever come across. So if you want to get a good laugh in when I talk a bunch of trash on that account, make sure to follow that one. And of course, link to the supporters club. I do appreciate people who come on here and show support. If you're interested in showing support, you can check out the link right here. Well, with that being said, let's get this underway with some Cardinals football. And man. So obviously it's combine week, and this is around the time where the report cards for pretty much every single team are released. And kind of disappointing, but not so shock. The Cardinals were one of the bottom teams in the overall report card, and this is what it's like when you have the Bidwell family running your team. That's just how it is. But I kind of want to read the rankings. I have them on my phone here just so I don't leave anything out. But these are the rankings from NFLPA, and overall the Cardinals were ranked the worst team in the NFL. Treatment of families, they were given a D+, and they were ranked 29th overall. Food and dining area, they were given a D minus. They were ranked 30th. Nutritionist, okay, they were given a B, ranked 22nd. The locker room, big one here. They were ranked an F minus at 32nd. They were dead last in locker room. They were the bottom dwellers of the locker room category. The training room, they were also ranked 32nd with a D minus. Training staff, they were ranked 31st, but somehow that was a C. The weight room, they were ranked 31st and given an F. Strength and conditioning coaches, they were ranked 31st. So no wonder we deal with so many injuries, and they were given a C plus in that category. The owner, Michael Bidwell, was ranked 30th among the NFL and given a D minus. And lastly, save the best for last. The only category that the Cardinals were ranked top 10 in was our head coach. Jonathan Gannon was given an A, and he was ranked 8th. Man, I listen, I want to say I am disappointed with these rankings, but I'm not shocked. Since I got into football, pretty much, the Bidwell family have never been big spenders on this team. They've never showed any signs that they're going to try to improve the team, at least with the what's it called, with the categories that they're in, basically. So literally, first off, the locker room. If you guys have seen, like, okay, so I think the first team was Atlanta. Have you seen Atlanta's locker room? Take a look at their locker room and compare it to the Cardinals. No wonder the Cardinals are dead last in that category. The strengthening and conditioning coaches, Cardinals have dealt with injuries for as long as I can remember. And again, these are the people that Michael Bidwell hire. And like I said, they were ranked C plus, 31st, basically dead last. And around this time, the guys are healthy. They're working during the off season. They're getting ready for the next season, this and that. And of course, Jonathan Gannon was ranked the 8th best coach, which kind of surprises me. But at the same time, Gannon is improving this team. I don't give credit to Bidwell for why this team's improving. It all goes to Monty Austinfort and Jonathan Gannon, at least in my book. It's I hate to say it. It's almost like we're the laughing stock in some way. I know the Cardinals aren't really bashed on as much. If anything, that's, I don't know. Sorry, Taman or Jason, if you're watching this, but probably the Cowboys or something like that. But the Cardinals have not had competent ownership, excuse me. But then again, there was a report from Gambo. The Cardinals are going to be all in on spending money in free agency. I mean, you should be all in spending money in free agency. You have the 6th highest cap space, and you're coming off an 8-9 season. So you're improving. But with these rankings, is it really going to draw interest from other players? I'll say that while the report is cute and all, the Cardinals are going to be active in free agency. I'm going to believe it when I see it. Last year, okay, we spent a decent amount of money. They didn't make like a big, okay, this is amazing type move or anything like that. But then again, they weren't really supposed to, coming off of a 4-13 season, and that's why they used the draft to build their team. They had the most amount of picks last year's draft. This year, they only have 5 picks. Coming off of an 8-9 season, you've sent a message to the NFL that, okay, this rebuild might be going in the right direction. You are improving. But with these rankings and with Bidwell being ranked a bottom 3 owner in football, it doesn't send a good message to players who are free agents and are looking to win. So yeah, there's that. And of course, the players that the Cardinals need to worry about bringing back, which brings me to my next topic. So another Gambo report. I feel like I use Gambo too much, but that's because he's the only one that's really right about anything regarding Arizona sports. So, but before I do that, let's get to the comments real quick. I see there's a few. What's up, Taryn? 30th worst owner. Does that mean he's the third best owner? Well, no, he's the third worst owner. The third, yeah, third worst. My bad. I probably should have said that. Excuse me. But Brian, our newest Boston host, appreciate it, man. By the way, great show on Wednesday. And what is up, Ralph? Great show earlier. And yeah, man, appreciate it. So, all right, where was I? So there's a list of players that Cardinals insider John Gamadoro pointed out. So over the next couple weeks, the Cardinals are going to be focusing on re-signing some of their own players before they go after players that or go after players. Okay, so they're going to re-sign some of these players before they go after other free agents from other teams. And let's see here. So the list is Evan Brown, which, you know, should consider that a little bit. LJ Collier, who's coming off of a pretty good year with the Cardinals on the D line. Roy Lopez, who also had a good year on the D line when we didn't have a lot of good pass rushing, players or anything like that. Baron Browning, who they traded for last year. Kelvin Beachum, who was mainly a backup last year, but he did see the field a lot because we dealt with so many injuries last year. And Chris Barnes, who also had a solid year. So those are the players that he expects the Cardinals to keep. So there are other free agents out there. There are other guys on our team that Gambo did not list that I would like to see back, like Will Hernandez, for example. I get he is coming off of a season-ending injury, but when he is healthy, he is one of the best linemen that we have, if not the best, behind Paris Johnson. And even then, Paris Johnson sometimes does questionable things when he's playing the tackle. So, and he also was one of the first players or one of the first reporters to point out that that the Cardinals will spend a lot in free agency. So, with the re-signing of those players, notice how some of the players that they named right here, not one of them was in the secondary. Not one of them was on the interior O line, which is something I think the Cardinals. Two things I think the Cardinals should improve on. So while our defense did a very solid job last year, still got some weak spots. For example, the pass rush. It's a long shot, but can we get Myles Garrett on the Cardinals? I know it's probably not going to happen, but um, the pass rush, they should look after a guy like that, whether they look it in the draft, free agency. The Cardinals are picking at 16th, and there is a lot of options on the pass rush in this draft. So, but with the re-signings that they aim to keep, a lot of them is also on the defense. Guys who stepped up when other people were injured last year, like Bilal Nichols, Justin Jones, who both of them were out for pretty much the entire year because it felt like we did not see them at all um, last year. And of course, the offensive line. Yes, we got Jonah Williams, but he was dealing with injuries for the entire season last year. So do you maybe, if you don't re-sign Kelvin Beachum, do you maybe look at tackle options opposite side to Paris Johnson in the draft? Not saying it has to be the first round, but then again, Cardinals have 5 picks in this draft, so make your decisions wisely, Monty Austinfort. It's not like last year where they had so many picks, so many different opportunities, so many options. Uh, I don't see the Cardinals trading up in this draft either, unless they get an offer that they can't say no to, or trade down, for instance. Then again, I don't really see a team that they would really trade down with. So I think that they will stay at 16, and hopefully, I would hope look at defensive line in this upcoming draft. What's up, Marcus? Salute to you, and of course, yep, Arizona for life. All right, so while I try to find this report here, so there were guys in the draft that I thought would be good for the Cardinals this year. So the combine is going on right now, and also at this same time, Monty Ossenfort was on the press conferences, taking questions like GMs do this and that, and there were some questions that were obviously point out in free agency, which were the players that they named out, by the way. And of course, with the combine going on, a lot of opportunity to see what guys the Cardinals will be targeting after. And let's see here. Alrighty. So picking 16th in the draft, there were crap. Okay, so for the Cardinals, and by the way, as we continue, I'm gonna continue talking about the draft and eventually do a mock draft at some point. Probably when this combine's over and we all have the rookie statistics, this and that. That is when I will be looking around to doing the mock drafts this year. But with the combine going on right now, very excited to continue to see what players look best for the Cardinals. As I've said earlier, defensive line is something I hope that they would go after with the 16th pick. So some players that, as I try pulling this up, so obviously there's some players that they're not going to get because they're picking in the middle of the pack. So Mason Graham would be nice, but they're not going to get him. There's some other guys though, like Shamar Stewart, who I'll have to go into deeper detail, but I'm hearing he's having a good combine. So Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M will be pretty good. They've also in the past Kenneth Grant from Michigan, who I think would be solid for the Cardinals as well. Or wait, yeah, Kenneth Grant. And then there's other options out there that they can get in later rounds, but Shamar Stewart, Kenneth Grant, and Derek Harmon out of Oregon are also the guys that have looked pretty good so far. Well, like I said, as the combine keeps on going, talk a lot more about the draft and make more mock drafts. But very excited for the Cardinals. Free agency is it's going to be here sooner than we think, and then of course we got the draft in April. So hopefully, but yeah, the overall on the Cardinals, the ownership remains to be a joke, proven by NFLPA, and Bidwell just has to do better. He just has to do better. I know he's not going to. Trust me, I feel like if your ownership is not the best, you're not going to really you're going to really have to rely on a miracle to be a championship caliber team. And I'm not saying Cardinals are Super Bowl contenders yet because they're not even close to it. They got to make the playoffs first. But if your ownership's poor, it's going to be very difficult to get to where you want to be, and that's where the Cardinals are at right now. But hopefully, Monty Ossenfort and Jonathan Gannon can improve the team as we get into year 3 of the rebuild. So, and of course, I talked about the Cardinals schedule a little bit in previous episodes. We'll talk a little bit more when it's officially out, but we're going to go into a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk Arizona Diamondbacks spring training. And Corbin Carroll is having a very good start to spring training so far. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're listening to the AZ Sports Zone on the iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Lentarius Law.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.
And welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Big shout out to our Fast Break hosts and, of course, Let's Whine About DMV Sports. Make sure to check out both of their shows and any other shows that you guys can have an opportunity to watch. We got a bunch of amazing shows and a bunch of newcomers on here that are starting off very good so far. And we just covered up the Arizona Cardinals segment. Talked about the overall report card, how Cardinals ownership is still not good, and we'll talk a little bit more about the free agency coming up and the NFL draft combine, which is currently going on right now. And now let's get into the Diamondbacks. So Diamondbacks spring training still going on. The Diamondbacks started 0-3, but they've won, a few more games here and there since. I want to start off with Corbin Carroll, who has been all across the charts for spring training so far. Now, I'm not going to completely overreact to his spring training numbers, but I got to recognize them while I still can, because even though it's only been 10 at-bats, Corbin Carroll has a batting average of 600, 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, and he has an OPS of 2.167. I know it's only been 10 at-bats. That's why I'm not going to go crazy. But to start off his spring training like that, and he did make a little bit of adjustments to his stance and, his swing, this and that. So definitely has been proving its worth so far in those changes, especially coming off of a sophomore slump. Well, somewhat of a sophomore slump. The first half of his second year wasn't the prettiest, but he finished the season very good. And with the way he's playing so far in spring training, let's hope that continues into opening day, because the Diamondbacks, as we get into more detail about spring training, the Diamondbacks, as they did start 0-3, they have since then they beat the Guardians, which, if I'm not mistaken, Corbin had another home run in that game as well. Jordan Lawler had a couple hits too, which Jordan Lawler has also looked pretty good so far in spring training. It just depends on him being able to stay healthy, which is something that he struggled to do last year, missing pretty much the entire season. Uh, in their win against the Royals, though, today they played Kansas City today. They won 6-1. Uh, we saw Marte get a base hit. Corbin went 3 for 3, and one of them was another home run. Trey Mancini got a base hit as well, so we'll see if he can make the team as a depth option. Del Castillo was in the game a little bit too. We saw him hit one. Gino Groover hit a home run as well, another guy that they've had in the minor leagues lately. And Merrill Kelly was on the mound today. He pitched 2 innings and he only gave up 1 hit and 1 walk, did not give up a run. And Ryan Nelson also played as well. He played another 2 innings, didn't give up a run, only gave up 1 hit and 2 walks. So we saw a lot of pitchers in today's game that the Diamondbacks are most likely going to have going into opening day. We saw Manaply play an inning. We saw Kevin Ginkel play an inning. He's the one that gave up the 1 run that the Royals got. AJ Puck was in the game too. Justin Martinez, who should be our closer for this season, but we will see what Torey Lovello decides in that category. We saw Christian Mana in the game too, a young guy that pitched in AAA last season. We'll see if he can maybe get a bullpen nod for this year, but maybe become a starter as his career goes forward. Because remember, the Diamondbacks have quite a lot of pitchers on the team that they have big decisions to make after this spring training. Like I said, they have a 6-man rotation currently in the starting rotation. And it was reported that Zach Gallen will most likely be the opening day pitcher against the Chicago Cubs. So it will not be Corbin Burns. It will be Zach Gallen. So you got Gallen at the 1, Corbin Burns, our newest ace, at the 2. And of course, they still have guys that need to make a name out of themselves, like Eduardo Rodriguez, who dealt with injuries last year. But even when he played, gave up, had some bad games here and there. Jordan Montgomery, who came off that horrific season, opted into his player option for $25 million. He has looked like he's been in good shape, though, to start off the spring training. We'll see how he does on the mound when he plays later as spring training continues. And of course, Ryan Nelson, a guy that we may see in the bullpen, depending on how other guys play in spring training. Merrill Kelly and Brandon Pfaadt. So actually, I think that's 7 guys, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, big. If Torey Lovello is going to stick to the 5-man rotation, which he has said in previous interviews that he plans on doing, he's got a couple big decisions to make. Do the Diamondbacks end up trading a pitcher? Do they end up moving 1 or 2 of them to the bullpen? This is why I feel bad for the young guys a little bit, because with the amount of options at pitchers that are already proven in the MLB, it kind of takes away an opportunity to see the young guys be able to play in the regular season. But that's how it is when you build your team through the farm system and of course make some moves, then some in free agency. You know, there are guys that the Diamondbacks paid for, Corbin Burns, Eduardo Rodriguez, and they paid for Jordan Montgomery. But other than that, and Merrill Kelly too, but he was overseas at the time. Other than that, the Diamondbacks pretty much developed everybody. They pretty much drafted everybody. You know, they, even though Zach Gallen wasn't originally a Diamondback, it's like they developed him in a way. He didn't play that much in Miami or St. Louis, and obviously the batters, they developed a lot of those players too. Even though Marte was a Mariner at first, they traded for him. He pretty much became the star he is on this team. Corbin Carroll, of course, we all know they locked him down under contract until the early 2030s. And, of course, Jordan Lawler's coming up. Blaze Alexander, who actually got injured recently, and he's going to be out for weeks with an, I believe it was an oblique strain. So Blaze Alexander will be out for a little while. But this Diamondbacks team, they are very deep. They have options. So that's why even despite the injuries last year, they were still able to score the most runs and commit the less amount of errors. But with the pitching injuries that they dealt with, and of course, Zach Gallen coming off of a pretty bad year after going to the World Series. Obviously Jordan Montgomery didn't have a spring training last year, so it led to him having a poor season. And it was just it was just a terrible season for our pitchers last year. And that's why they missed the playoffs. That's why they came up short of that weird tiebreaker with the Mets and Braves. So going into this season, as I've said on the Bullpen Bulletin, make sure to check out that show as well every Tuesdays. As I've said on that show regarding the Diamondbacks, health is going to depend on how the Diamondbacks play this season. They have the talent. While a lot of fans are skeptical about Torey Lovello, the guy is a proven manager. He's got us to the World Series. We know, and he has the mentality that this team is going to win. So this team has proven that they can get to the World Series. They've proven that they can win. It just depends on health and, of course, getting past a bunch of big foes in the National League. A lot of teams in the National League got so much tougher. Obviously the Mets had a great offseason. The Dodgers had a great offseason. We talk about the Braves getting guys back from injuries, so they're going to be another good team to deal with. The Phillies are always a competitive team. Obviously, you got to have a winner in the NL Central, but other than that, we'll see what happens regarding that division. And even our own division, the Dodgers, we all know they're going to win the division until proven otherwise. So I think for the Diamondbacks, it's all about getting past the Padres and maybe even the Giants for the division. While I am so confident in my baseball team, I'm also realistic. I don't think anyone's getting past the Dodgers in the division yet. So with that being said, I think it's all about who gets second place in the NL West. The Padres, even though they lost players, they also did get a couple players. Same thing with us. And the Giants, they got rid of Farhan. Buster Posey is running the show now, so we'll see how they get. But with this team specifically going into opening day, what I'm looking forward to for the rest of spring training is obviously how the pitchers continue to play. The young guys as well, even though I don't really feel like we're going to see anybody new on this team opening day compared to last year, minus the players that they got in the offseason. Regarding the young guys, though, especially pitchers, maybe Jordan Lawler will be on the opening day roster. We'll see. I think he should be. But then again, where are they going to put Jordan Lawler, right? They extended Perdomo. He's going to be our shortstop for at least the next 5 years. You got Gino Suarez coming back for third base. So unless you throw him at DH, I mean, where are you going to put Jordan Lawler? This is why I said when you have a bunch of talented starters, the depth options, even if they're good, it's kind of hard to make a decision on who's going to be in for the opening day roster and who's going to be out. So, but that's what I like about this Diamondbacks team, though. They have a lot of options compared to recent years where they've been a dumpster fire. Also, and I've said this before, when you're a small market team, you really got to build your team through the farm system. And the Diamondbacks did that. And they still have guys in the farm system. That's the thing. The Diamondbacks are not going anywhere anytime soon. They're going to be in it to compete. It's a new time for Diamondbacks baseball. We're not the bottom dwellers of the NL West anymore. The Diamondbacks will be looking to compete this year. And I think if everything goes good, I think they could compete with any team in the league. I think they could compete with the Dodgers. I mean, they were the last team to knock them out of the playoffs. And yes, I know the Dodgers are completely different now, but they're familiar with the team. They're familiar with the Phillies. They played them before. The Mets, very challenging, and the Mets have had our number in the past few years or so. But if this team stays healthy and the players live up to their names, and Torey Lovello actually switches up a few things as far as managing this year, I think the Diamondbacks can be very competitive this year. They have a really good shot at getting back to the World Series. A lot of excitement regarding the Diamondbacks, and I feel like this is the only team to be excited for as of professional Arizona sports. Of course, I got ASU, and we'll get into ASU here shortly, but we're going to go into our second and last break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns and how big of a dumpster fire they continue to be. And we'll talk about Mike Budenholzer telling Devin Booker to not be a vocal leader, which is very stupid and concerning. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. You're watching the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a Tar Heel, Blue Devil, Demon Deacon, or maybe even a Gamecock? Do you cheer for the Panthers, the Canes, the Crown? And check out the Carolina Sports Update every week with me, Neil Curtis, to get the latest and greatest on all the sports action in the Carolinas. We'll be talking pro sports, ACC and SEC football, basketball, baseball, and everything in between. We'll even talk a little Formula One racing now and again. So, for the best hour of Carolina sports coverage, catch me each week on Carolina Sports Updates with Neil Curtis, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's going on, Kansas City sports fans? I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host for the show. This is KC Sports, which you can find right here every Monday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Now, are you looking for a show that you can watch live or listen to later on that talks about the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, as well as even the Kansas City Mavericks? Or do you want to listen to a show that talks about your high school sports, whether it be on the Missouri side or the Kansas City side? Let's even talk about college. Let's talk about KU. Let's talk about K-State. Let's talk about Mizzou. And let's talk about your boys' alma mater, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. All in all, it doesn't matter. If it's Kansas City anything, we will talk about it on this show every Monday at 2 p.m. We'll talk about stuff that's happening in your area, let alone Union Station, Power and Light, T-Mobile Center. It doesn't matter. If you want to talk about it, join our segment, the Fan Interaction segment, every Monday at 2 p.m. and make sure you get your voice heard. Until then, I hope you check out the show. As always, I am the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host every Monday at 2 p.m. on This is KC Sports, which you can find right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Welcome back to the AZ Sports Zone on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Just covered our Arizona Diamondbacks segment on spring training and, of course, what to look forward to for baseball as we are a month away from opening day. Now let's travel to the heart of Phoenix. I don't even know if I want to call them the heart of Phoenix anymore. But yeah, let's take a little step back into the happiness mode and let's go into Phoenix Suns basketball. The Suns remain terrible. Well, actually, They're playing right now, and they're currently winning by 22 points against the Pelicans. So whatever. But not counting this game tonight, they've lost 10 of their last 12. Last time they won a game was a week ago against Chicago. Once again, not counting the game tonight, which looks like they're going to win. But then again, it's the Suns. Can they blow a 22 lead? Sure. They've done it before. This Phoenix Suns team remains a dumpster fire. They're not disciplined enough. They don't play with effort. They don't play with heart. They don't play with a sense of urgency. And they don't play with a mentality of winning. 10 of their last 12 games, they're now sitting at 11th in the West. Most likely won't even make the play-in tournament with the hardest remaining schedule across the NBA. And it's just sad. They've spent the most money out of anybody in recent years. They've had 3 different head coaches in 3 different seasons. They have traded for so many star players. They've extended so many people. They have spent so much money. Matt Ishbia does not care about money. And it's not working. So time to hit full-scale rebuild mode, everybody. The time's come. They got to hit the reset button. They have to stop trying by just trying to collect talent, which is what they've done since Ishbia took over. And it's really sad knowing that a few years ago, this team, they were a hair away from winning the NBA Finals. The following year, they had the best record in basketball. I'm still confused on how they went from that to this disgrace. Obviously, the change in ownership has a lot to do with it. We all know that, right? When you get new ownership, things are going to be different. And for his sake, things were different because he traded for Kevin Durant, got rid of a bunch of our young players. He got rid of that NBA Finals team that the Suns had. And when I say full scale rebuild, I don't just mean the team. I don't just mean the players. Oh, no. I'm talking front office as well. Fire James Jones. Can we hire Bob Myers maybe? He built the Warriors dynasty. Can we maybe hire him? But this Suns team has just been such a big disappointment. And this is a season that I don't think any Suns fan is going to miss. It's just, it's so disappointing that at this point, I can honestly just laugh about it. Like, it's just not something that I saw. Listen, I didn't think the Suns were going to like win the NBA Finals this year or anything like that. I wasn't that delusional. But 11th seed, not even in the play-in tournament. I'll say I did not expect that to happen. I don't think any Suns fan, well, if there was a Suns fan, I've yet to meet a Suns fan that thought that they were going to be out of the play-in tournament at this point. But man, what a call. Any Suns fan who made that prediction. But time to hit the rebuild. I say get rid of everybody, sell the pieces, trade Kevin Durant. Is it maybe time to trade Devin Booker? I really hope not, but I would not be shocked by it. Which brings me to my next topic. Mike Budenholzer. So there was a report that came out. Mike Budenholzer told Devin Booker to not be vocal with the Phoenix Suns team. He said that Booker was being too vocal of a leader to a point to where he wants the head coach, what's up, Chad, to get their names involved a lot more. You don't want your best player to be a vocal leader? Devin Booker's been on this team for 10 years. So what gives a first-year coach like Mike Budenholzer the right to tell your franchise player to not be a vocal leader? I'm sorry, Mike Budenholzer, listen, I know you won your championship already. I know you probably don't even care about how good this team is anymore. After this, you deserve to get fired. The fact that Frank Vogel had this Suns team at 6th seed last year blows my mind because, number one, I don't think Frank Vogel was the issue anymore. And number two, this is pretty much the same Suns team that we had last year, pretty much. They were dysfunctional, did not have a lot of good chemistry going. And this right here is another example of it. One of the lacks that the Phoenix Suns have is vocal leadership. And now I know why. Because Mike Budenholzer lost the locker room. There was also another report that from I think the Suns insider wasn't named, but there was one Suns insider who literally said Mike Budenholzer is a headache to deal with. Even though I'm not a fan of firing coaches after their first year with a team, I completely understand why the Suns would want to fire this guy after 1 year. It just does not look good on your part. Telling Booker to not be a vocal leader. Booker wants to win with the Phoenix Suns. He deserves to win on this team. The Suns don't deserve Booker. That's no question about that. This team does not deserve to have Devin Booker. It's one level below the Cardinals not deserving Larry Fitzgerald. It's almost the same thing, but in basketball. This team doesn't deserve Booker, especially after this report right here. Please. Don't even, no. Anyways, that's it on the Phoenix Suns. They are winning right now, so hey, can we go on a miracle winning streak? Probably not, but we'll see. In the meantime, let's get to some ASU basketball, which, man, it hurts. The Sun Devils, since the last time I went live, they've won a game and they've lost a game. They beat Kansas State after losing to them the first time. They beat them 66-54. A pretty good game. They won by double digits. Obviously, BJ Freeman is no longer an ASU Sun Devil regarding basketball, which still sucks to see. But they won their first game without him, which is kind of funny. But they lost to the 25th ranked BYU, 91-81. And they are now 13-15. They've got 3 games left, excuse me. They're taking on Utah tomorrow, and then they play their good old rivals, the U of A Wildcats, Tuesday, March 4th, and then they play Texas Tech next Saturday to end their season. So, in all fairness, based off of the schedule, it's most likely going to be ASU doesn't win another game to finish off this season. It's just been such a disappointment. There needs to be a change with the head coach because Hurley's been here for 10 years, has not done anything. Hurley was great as a college player, but not as a coach. It's time to get rid of him. So if ASU doesn't bring in a new coach, it's almost like they don't want to win at this point. So ASU basketball has been very disappointing after a few years of after making the March Madness. So is what it is. But baseball, on the other hand, has been pretty good so far. The ASU Sun Devils in baseball, they have started their season 7-2. They started 4-0, and then they lost their first game against Oral Roberts, and then they won the other day against UCLA 2-0. They actually split the series with UCLA. First game they won 4-8. second game, they beat UCLA 2-0. And they are taking on Minnesota for their next 3-game series. So ASU baseball so far has looked pretty good. The bats have been to life. Their pitching has been a bend but not break type of squad. So it's good to see ASU slot in that category. So all right. So hopefully ASU continues to thrive in baseball at least, if not if not basketball. But let's get into U of A before we wrap up this episode. So U of A basketball remains the 22nd ranked team. Tomorrow they're taking on the number 9th ranked Iowa State, which will be a very big game. It's a tomorrow night game. So that one will be pretty cool to watch. And of course, Arizona beat Utah a couple days ago, 83-66. And then last Saturday, they barely lost in a very close game to BYU, 96-95. Both teams were ranked. So a very close and competitive game. And U of A fell short though. But for that game, what's it called? Caleb Love had 27 points, 5 assists, 3 rebounds. Awaka had a double-double in that game. Lewis had 13 points. So a good game from the U of A players, but just the last second, man. And Caleb Love scored another 20-point game against Utah the other day. So U of A is 19-9 at this point. Like I said, they're taking on number 9 Iowa State tomorrow. So stay tuned for that game. That's going to be a big one. And then they take on, like I said earlier, ASU on the 4th. And then they end their season against the Kansas Jayhawks. So a team we'll most likely see in March Madness, the U of A Wildcats. They've had a very good basketball season so far. And for baseball, let's get into that. So U of A right now in baseball, they're 5-3. They started, correct me if I'm wrong, they started 1-3, so they've won their last 4 games, or 5 games, I should say. And okay, so they're coming off of a win against Rice. They won 11-8. They're taking on the number 1 ranked Texas A&M currently. We'll see how that game ends. But I wanted to mention Brendan Summerhill. I mentioned him briefly on the Bullpen Bulletin a few days ago. If anybody in the MLB needs an outfielder for this upcoming draft, look no further than Brendan Summerhill, who batted .320 last year, had 30 extra base hits. He's due for a very good year this season. So I think that he will be a very good prospect for anybody in the MLB that needs an outfielder. So as baseball continues, we'll continue to talk about U of A a lot more. Anyways, guys, that is going to do it for episode 33 here on the AZ Sports Zone. I appreciate everybody who was able to stop by. Next week, we will continue with the Cardinals as we get closer to the draft and free agency. Will any news come out regarding the free agency rumors? We'll find out. We'll continue to talk Phoenix Suns basketball, no matter if they continue to be good or bad. We will be here to talk about it. We'll continue with ASU basketball and baseball. Same thing for U of A as well. We'll talk a little bit more about the Diamondbacks as spring training continues to go on. We will continue to discuss the team, how they look as we get closer to opening day. But until then, thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 33 of the AZ Sports Zone here on the IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will see you guys next Friday here at this very exact same time. Hope you guys have a very good weekend. Stay safe. See you guys next Friday. Have a good one.